flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The roll, please.
Lee,
Aye.
Lace, Owen, Heller, Childers,
Present.
Sullivan, McGrath.
Here. Okay. First up, have we received any public comment cards? Does anyone would like to address the board? You'd fill out a comment card and pass it to Ginny here, please.
Apologize.
That's okay.
I'm Rory.
All right, thank you.
We'd like everyone is asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Mr. London, if you'd stand up to your name and your address and then your comments, please.
My name is Aaron London, former Manny's grad. My address is 1920 East Yuma Lane in Mount Prospect. I am here on behalf of my company, Illinois Old School. I was told by someone to bring 10 copies. I should have brought more. Can I just pass these out real quick? It just has to do with what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just give me one.
Sure. Thank you, sir. All right. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me time to speak. My name is Aaron London, and I am co-owner of the Illinois Old School basketball program. We have been operating at Maney's High School the past 2 years. I am a product of District 63 and graduated from Maney's in 1999. While a student at Maney's, I learned many concepts and strategies that have helped me become a successful business owner, teacher, coach, husband, and father. I would like to thank Mr. Pressler, Mr. DeLegge, former athletic director Mr. Bender, Irene Ballo for their diligent work during our partnership with Maney's the past 2 years. Mr. DeLegge, Ms. Ballo, and Mr. Bender were vital in working with Illinois Old School for my company to provide close to $23,000 in program scholarships for the year 2012 and 2013. I stand before you this evening to inquire if the board would reconsider our facility rental classification. Currently, we are being charged full price to rent the gymnasiums at Maney's. Due to our partnership with the Maney's basketball programs, we would like the board to consider allowing us to rent the gymnasiums at a discounted rate. I understand that in today's economy that many school districts are under financial distress. We are not looking for a complete waiver. On average, Illinois Old School occupies the gymnasiums 4 to 5 days per week during the spring and summer. Maney's will still be able to benefit financially from our rental costs. Also, throughout the school year, we run basketball tournaments, and the concessions, about $3,000 to $4,000 goes to the Maney's athletic program. In the packet I have distributed to the board members and superintendent, I presented evidence of our partnership at Maney's High School. I hope that after reviewing the information I distributed, the District 207 Board of Education rules that we are eligible for a discounted rate while renting the Maney's gymnasiums. Thank you for allowing me time to speak this evening. We look forward to continuing our partnership at Maney's High School.
This is just for public comment. You should not for the.
No, it's not in,
It's not in,
all in
it's
the
not
document.
in the document.
Oh, but we'll do the next.
I haven't gotten a.
I don't know. I will have some information back for you.
Okay. Any other comments? Board members, superintendent, any updates?
Don't we have a request from the city of
Any updates from, okay. You had some information on the Park Ridge TIF strategic plan, I see under the superintendent board member updates.
So the city of Park Ridge is requesting a meeting to go over their TIF report that they received from their TIF consultant, and requested that if District 207 was interested, that we look to send 1 or 2 people in their letter, they talk about the individuals from Park Ridge that will be there. It will be the head of their finance committee as well as their community liaison. And I didn't know if this was something that the board wanted to direct to Sean as head of the finance committee. Sean's not here, so I guess or if the board was not interested in me, you know, I was looking for some direction.
I'd like to wait to get input from Sean as head of the finance committee. Can you remind me again what our arrangement is with the city, how our
We have an intergovernmental agreement that provides that we get 15% of the new growth in the TIF district. So that comes to us as a payment. What is happening is even without the payments to the school districts, the Uptown TIF would have a negative cash flow. But with the payments to the school district, that is even worse. Very negative cash flow, about $1 million a year. They have their debt goes out to the end of the life of the TIF, so it's not like they cannot extend their debt without extending the TIF. So I think that they want to talk about, several months ago we received the 80-page report from their TIF consultant, and they want to come together, bring the taxing entities together to go over that report and see if we have any questions.
Okay, is there do you think, what is this meeting, just so I'm...
They have not set the date.
Okay.
They've just,
Do we know if we have a upcoming finance committee to...
September 26th, we can put it on the agenda then. Get some
Okay.
representatives.
have any need to respond earlier? We have to...
What's the time of that meeting, the 26th?
5 p.m. I believe.
It hasn't been posted, but I believe it was 5:30.
5:30.
Okay. Mary?
I wanted to give the update that I was able to go through all of Main East from bottom to top, all the way to the top. Thank you to Dr. Felsen. Really appreciate it.
Committee, anybody have done, anybody else? Committee, finance committee. Sean is not here. Mary, have
We
you
had a
an
meeting,
update?
we went over, we talked about the budget update, we talked about a TIF update, and then we went over some of our rules and regulations regarding P cards. Because as Sean reviews the board bills, he wanted to get a handle on, you know, what are the procedures in place that we have with P card purchases. So we had a discussion on that.
Policy committee, in the absence of Carla, would you be able to give us an update, Greg?
Sure. The policy committee met on, I believe it was August 12th or 13th, and we reviewed 2 different policies. One of them is presented to the board this evening for a first reading. That's policy 3242, unethical influence and behavior. And so the draft that you see before you this evening is it's probably the second or third version that the committee has worked on.
Okay, and that is up for a first reading today. Okay, anything else? All right. Education committee, Donna?
It seems as though our policy on online classes is outdated. It was probably written during the prehistoric days. But since everybody's going to have a computer, I think we need to revisit it instead of allowing 2 classes only from an outside source, that we might expand it at this point to perhaps 4 classes with the idea of maybe considering even more. The caveat is, of course, we have to be approved by someone, department or someone else that we would designate. So we would expand the opportunities for kids. That's one of the things that to me was impressive. And then we've got into school policies and really details.
Well, all of those policies listed in the minutes are about different ways that we grant credit, to allow for correspondence and online and virtual courses. And it's exactly what you were talking about, looking at accommodating some of the changes that digital learning may bring to us, giving us a little bit more flexibility. We looked at area district policies that allow for a little bit more flexibility. And then the other thing that Dr. Walsh shared was methodology behind how the principals are evaluated related to some student growth pieces.
Okay, thank you. Next up is the monthly finance report. Mary?
In your report is the financials for July. You'll see that revenue, as with the case last year, is fairly high, given that it's the first month of the fiscal year, but that's largely due to tax bills and early collections of property taxes. The state also made their final payments for 2015 in July, so that was a little different than past years. That will get accrued to last year, but these financials are on a cash basis. On the expenditure side, you can see that those funds that O&M and Life Safety, where we do summer projects, you'll see the spike in those expenditures. And then in the tort fund, we paid for our workers' compensation insurance, so that's why you see a little spike in that. Everything else, I mean, it's still very early, first month of the fiscal year. 10-month salaries aren't in the expenditure, so it doesn't give you a full picture of how things will be for the year. I'll take any questions that people have on the July financials.
Hearing none. Nothing from instructional services. The agenda, 10, monthly update on FOIA, please.
Full request in the past month, all 4 of them.
Thank you. Next up is policy, Board of Education policies and procedures, first reading. Policy 3242. Greg just discussed this. This is the first reading. Are there any questions, comments? Would you like more explanation from Greg? The policy committee is meeting this month too, so if there are any suggestions, if you would get them to Greg before that time. Okay. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Items A through G. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda? Donna? Second. Mary? Comments or questions? Call the roll, please.
Lee? Keller?
Yes.
Childers? McGrath?
Aye. Okay, next item, item 8, the 2013-2014 District 207 budget. A motion, please. Howard? Second. Lee? Okay, questions, comments? Okay, Mary, you want to give us some
Sure.
highlights on this, please?
The budgeted revenue on all funds except self-insurance and debt service is $125.6 million. And on the revenue side, it's $131.9 million. We are budgeting a surplus of about $5.5 million, which is still less than the total cost of pensions, should that get forced upon us. So we're very excited that we've been able to live within our means, but, and we're hopeful that as with last year, that if we end up having this type of surplus, we'll be able to do both a property tax abatement and also put some of the money towards the facility projects that we know we need but are not funded in the 10-year facility master plan.
And how does this compare to last year's?
Revenue is up about, with property taxes, it increased 3.8%, but part of that was because our collections have been up, we went from budgeting 98.5% collection rate to 99.5. So 1% of that 3.8 is a change in methodology for budgeting. Total property tax revenue is only up about 2.8%, and that's based on the CPI of 3.1 and 1.7, both of which are reflected in this budget. Expenditures have been our target has been to live within our 2.5% CPI average, and our expenditures went up 2.4%, so that's kind of in our target range. This is better than we thought we would be able to do because we were able to achieve some savings because we had staff turnover, not through retirement, but through regular attrition, that we saw some savings on in terms of staffing.
Okay, are there any questions or comments?
My comment is that this mindset of staying on top of the money and watching it is just apparent in every committee, everything we go to, and it's a great feeling of the attitude that I think everyone's bringing to it. I just want to say I appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments? If not, call roll please.
Lee? Keller? Childers? McGrath?
Aye. Thank you.
President McGrath? You have a question on finance?
Oh, sure.
The commercial businesses that ask for money back,
Okay.
and you had talked before that we're only processing like the most recent 2011 request, something like that?
I think we got our first 2011, 2010 has been in, those are the property tax appeals board.
Are you seeing those
Oh, they've been up for the last several years.
And are they going even higher?
They continue to go up, and we continue to increase the number of appraisals that we're filing. So even today, I approved an appraisal for a piece of property because what we figure after we've done a technical review of the appraisal, the market value is, and what the taxpayer is saying, it's about a 66% difference. So in an instance like that, we'll go in and get our own appraisal. We've had two completely withdraw this year after they've seen our appraisals, which was the first time that I've ever seen that happen because they felt that our appraisals had much stronger evidence than theirs. So, because they could also have their assessment increase at the PTAB, so if they were to go forward and then we presented our appraisal, there's a chance that their assessment would have gone up. So we stay on top of that, but yeah, I mean, and we're not surprised. Everyone is seeing those appeals increase.
And that could affect the budget.
That does affect the budget because those
Strongly.
refunds come out of current year collections.
And that's 66% difference.
Right, and that's why we budget the 0.5% non-collection, so we budget about 500,000. But they're several years behind, so like the refunds we're paying out are the 2007, 2008 refunds. So 3 years from now, we'll probably have to move back down to 98.5 because the appeals for 10 and 11 have increased so much.
That was. Item 9 on the agenda is the Park Ridge Public Library Agreement, and the recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the agreements contained in the appendices between the library and Maine East and Maine South High Schools to assure that students who are not entitled to a library card from other municipalities may receive a card from the Park Ridge Public Library. The District 207 Foundation has agreed to support the fees, which cannot be recouped from individual students. Do we have a motion on this, please? Keller?
I'll second.
Childers? Questions or comments?
What are the fees to get a library card if you're?
There hasn't been any, the fees, Mary, that they're did this agreement in the event that a student would take a book and libraries couldn't collect them. The foundation agreed to offset those costs. To my knowledge, in the 5+ years that we've had this arrangement this way, they never spent a nickel. So it's worked out well. We just had to give the library assurance that we would make good any lost items. And to my knowledge, it's never cost the foundation anything.
This letter looks like it's about getting a library card.
It is, but why the foundation is in here, it's a little more technical. It is, so our students who are in, for South, it's students in Norridge and I think parts of Harwood Heights, and one of those doesn't have access to a library. At East, in some of the areas, students don't have access to their own public library, so they do. The upshot is they get a Park Ridge Library card. In fact, we have a similar agreement over at Des Plaines for some students in the Rosemont area, I think, who don't have access to it.
Don't District 63 students get a Niles library card?
Not all of them. The ones that live in Niles do, but there are many that live in Morton Grove, you've got unincorporated Glenview, and they don't get the card. So this addresses it. Now, 63 may have a similar agreement for those students to go to Niles, but this addresses the high school students who wouldn't have access to a library card.
And then if they don't pay the fines, the foundation pays?
That's what, back when we originally did this specific agreement, we had to basically have a partner for a guarantee, and the Ed Foundation stepped up and has guaranteed that. Although again, to my knowledge, in the 5 or 6 years, the foundation has never spent any.
Because they're a minor, they can't be assessed any fees, but, okay.
So many students does not have designated library cards.
Some don't.
Some don't.
The students like, and I can't remember if it's Harwood Heights or Norwood, but one of those doesn't have a library, and then some of the unincorporated areas for Maine East don't have access to a library. So this gives all of the students that want access to the public library, Park Ridge gives them a card and doesn't charge them for it.
Additional questions? Not, Jenny, call the roll, please.
Childers? Aye. Heller? Lee?
Aye.
McGrath?
Aye. Okay, Item 10 is the recommendation that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent of schools to enter into a contract with Excel Edge Incorporated, requesting a reduction in facility rental fees from $20 to $5 per room per hour charge for a total waiver of $315. Details are outlined in the memo. I'd like to know, do we have a motion on this? Okay. Questions, comments? Before I chime in? Okay, so the waiver is actually for $1,260, not for $315. They're looking for 7 days, 4 classrooms, 3 hours per day, which is 84 hours of rental at $20 an hour, would be $1,680.
What test?
It's the ACT.
Okay.
So I'd like to amend the motion that the total waiver is $1,260.
So what they did is they did the math per class instead of the total.
I don't know what math they did.
Yeah. That's what, a quick look, that's what I think.
Well, it doesn't even relate to that because it's
So the recommendation is for how much?
$1,260
Instead of 350.
instead of $350. The actual amount they'll be paying is $420, which would be $5. They have 4 classrooms for 7 days, 3 hours per day is 84 hours.
Do only Maine South students use these rooms?
Many do.
Each school has a similar program.
Yeah. Not all of it's Excel Edge, we have different programs in different buildings, but it's the same
But it's
concept.
pretty much Maine South students use Maine South, Maine West students.
Yes.
We do have, like I know the other night when South started, we had some other students from other buildings, I think, coming here.
You can make up classes
Yeah.
between the two.
I think we had some East and West students come here to take the classes.
So it's a convenience for the student.
Yeah. And they do provide scholarships for students on free and reduced lunch, and that was, in fact, that's one of the caveats for this group or any group getting reduced fees.
And 100% of the students served are 207 students.
Do we have any students coming from any other districts too? Any other questions or comments? Okay. Call roll, please.
Childers?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Heller? McGrath?
Aye. Next item, item 11, we have a resolution to approve rubrics for special positions.
Right, and you have, Andrea sent you and.
Let's get a motion first.
Sorry.
That the Peller,
Oh, I see. Our second.
Charlie second, okay, Albert.
In front of you, you have the complete copy in hard copy. There should be 4 domains for the assistive technologist position. This was the last specialist position that we're bringing before you. And you have it digitally complete too. In the board book, it's missing a couple of pages. This affects one person who has worked closely with Pam, and it's been shared with the committee. Went back and forth for some revisions, so we've had a lot of eyes on it. Feel like it's ready to go for the team.
And this is the last one, so.
Yeah.
So
this year.
far, we're still doing the superintendent's, right?
Oh.
Thank you, yes.
Okay, any questions, comments?
What is an assistive technology?
Yes, so we'll turn the hand for that.
This is the person who supports technology for students with disabilities.
Then why is it an assistant technology?
Assistive.
So why is it not an assistant tech?
The term is assistive technology.
And that's why I'm asking
Yeah.
what that means,
Okay.
different from assistant.
Yeah, because there is, the nomenclature in special ed is that the technology that the students are using are assistive to their learning. I think I'm using that
Yeah,
in context
correct.
properly.
Correct.
So if you weren't in that group of people, you might use the word assistant.
Yes.
Got it.
Possibly.
Any additional questions? Jamie, call the roll, please.
Heller?
Aye.
Lee? Childers?
Aye.
McGrath?
Aye. Next up, calendar items. Currently, we have the Meet the Teacher Night on September 18th, the next regular Board of Education meeting on October 7th. Noting that on October 14th, we are closed for Columbus Day, and that the IASB Northbrook Fall Dinner meeting is October 16th. Are there any items, committee meetings that we need to add to the calendar?
I'll be, since 2 of our policy committee members aren't here tonight, I'll send an email out to everybody to set up a policy committee meeting before the next board meeting.
Okay.
September 26th is finance. We will confirm whether it's 5 or 5:30.
I saw 5:30 in the
And
minutes.
it's 5:30.
Well, that's the same night as the invitation we received for the Main South event.
Which is at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's the audit presentation. If the event is at South,
No,
It's at the country.
yeah, I know we had a request for 5:30 by one of the finance committee members, so I don't.
How long do you expect?
Who's not here, so I don't want to. It's the audit presentation, it shouldn't last more than an hour. And that,
I'm sorry, I was looking.
When is the finance meeting?
September 26th.
It's the same as this.
Yeah, I just didn't see it listed here, so I didn't.
so, unless you have our meeting.
Depends on how many audit questions you have. Yeah.
Dinner starts at 7.
It's a good audit. It's a good audit.
Then we should probably do it at 5. So that-
Well, I
Well,
don't
this
think
was
Sean
premised
could.
on, the wishes of.
Has to do with
members
the
of
chairman being able to be.
Chairman of one of the other members.
Is there another night it could be done? That is like conflict.
It would be difficult, I mean, we have a 3-day window and everybody booked the auditor. I mean,
I'm
I'm really sorry.
Well, dinner's at 7, they should.
They should
make
be,
that
we should
comfortable.
be able, I can get you out of here, I'll tell the auditors, I mean, we have to be audited in advance. You get questions in advance, the auditors will be prepared, and
This brings us to September 26th for the Maine South 50th anniversary dinner. Any education committee meetings scheduled or?
Don't have one scheduled
Okay.
yet, but we do need to have one because we've got some policies that we need to look at related to graduation credits and so forth. So,
It's not scheduled, that's fine.
I guess I'll shoot an email around, but probably around September 23rd or 30th, would that work, like a Monday?
Yeah, Monday would be
23rd, I will not be.
Okay, how about the 30th, does that work?
fine.
Why don't we do an email?
Or I'll do an email then.
Yeah, give us a couple of dates.
All right, any other items?
Oh, I have a comment on calendar. We're talking before the meeting, just so it can be on record that we talk about not having the September board meeting the day after Labor Day.
And I think in the past we did that, it's been the last couple of years we haven't.
You know, I think it may depend on when Labor Day is,
That's a
too.
good point, too.
It's early this year. It's very early this year, yeah.
Well, how about if we take a look at it, at least for next year, and see if,
Just so it's in
Yeah.
here.
Okay, any other items? Any more community, public comments? Right, if not, a motion to go into closed session, review of closed session minutes, appointment, employment, compensation, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, probable imminent or pending litigation, and collective negotiating matters. Heller? Mary Childers? Take roll, please.
Lee,
Yeah.
Childers,
Aye.
Heller, McGrath.
Aye. Okay, we are in closed session.